That out there is my view of the Peppermill Hotel, Casino, Resort, Spa, and Suites. This is where Run It Up Reno is happening, and we are currently in the thick of it. Today is Monday? Yeah, Monday. Today's Monday. I got here on Friday, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is my 4th day here, and I'm here for the duration. This is 11 nights of Run It Up Reno for myself. So yeah, plenty more to come. Decided to take a little break from the tournament action, the cash game action. I've been on the grind, but decided to get caught up here on recording what's happened thus far from the event. By the way, my favorite tournament event there is in the world. It's so cool, it's so unique. We'll talk more about that in a second, but first, just a few words on that last video that went up on this channel. Yeah, that one elicited quite a response, I must say. I knew there's gonna be some response for sure. She's definitely got a slightly different personality than what you're probably used to seeing on this channel. So I knew there was gonna be some response. You never know though. You never know exactly what you're gonna get, and I guess I was a little bit surprised. And part of that I think is my fault for sure. Something that I said I wanted to do in the beginning of this year, 2018, when I sort of set out some New Year's resolutions or goals, better word probably, goals. By the way, these goals, all of them behind pace, all of them, I think. Yeah, all of them are behind. One of those goals that I wanted to try and accomplish was to feature 5 different female poker players on this channel. I do think that there is more than a handful of female poker crushers out there that could use maybe a feature in this blog. I did one early on in the year, featured Kristen Bicknell.
I did something bad.
No.
I got really lucky.
Just did an interview with her and just talked about poker mainly. This time I wanted to try something a little bit different. I wanted to do something a little bit more stylized, a little bit more vlogish, and just decided to feature Marley just full-on vlog form and sort of let her take over for a video. Even though the whole concept was my idea, the collaboration was my idea, I did want to let her sort of like take the controls and take the camera and just have her be first person view with the usual graphics that you're used to seeing on this channel.
When you 3-bet, sometimes they'll fold and you can just take it down. So I 3-bet the ace queen of clubs.
So I thought that'd be a cool idea. I really like how the sort of back and forth between interview and capturing some of the B-roll from the table. I like the exchange that went on in that video.
The better I get at poker, the more I realize I know nothing.
It was all something new. I've never done something like that before, so I was pretty happy with the style of the video and how that came out. One thing I think I should have done a better job with was sort of explaining what the purpose was, because I sort of just assumed that people would remember that I had this goal of featuring 5 different female poker players that I set out earlier in the year, and that was a little bit silly of me. So I actually did record an intro to that video touching on that and explaining what was happening here. A collaboration that I did with somebody who I've known for a few years now. In the end, I decided to just scrap that intro because it was, I don't know, I just didn't like it, and I just wanted to have the whole video be sort of stylized in the same format and not jump from that intro into the actual content. So in hindsight, I wish I kept that intro in there. It would have made a lot more sense to a lot of people. Anyway, aside from that, I've been having some back and forth with some commenters underneath that video. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of trolls when you introduce a female poker player with a personality that is as big as Marley's is, and that was for sure expected, but there's also like some thoughtful conversations going on, I think, as well. One thing I think is still important to touch on in regards to this topic, if I were to show you guys the demographics of the audience of this channel, you would probably be amazed at just how vast the discrepancy is between male and female viewers. To say that this is a predominantly male audience is putting it very lightly. And of course, this is reflected anytime you go to the poker room, you see very few females playing poker. So the reason for trying to feature 5 female poker players is because I think that's one good way to try and grow the poker market. And that's something I care about. That's something, growing the game as a whole is something that I care about because it's the industry that I'm involved in. And stagnation just sort of, I find that incredibly uninteresting. I'm always looking for growth personally, and obviously the market that I'm operating in, I want that to be a growing market as well. So I think featuring female poker players and giving them some visibility, especially ones that are finding some success and are on that path, I think that's a good way to do that. At least it's the most obvious tool that I have at my disposal here with this channel. And yeah, that's the whole reason, really. It's not really too super complicated and in-depth, but that was a sort of backstory to why I wanted to put this video together. No, I was not paid by Marley to make that video. I was not paid by anybody to make that video. It was my idea. Did it for $0. Yeah, definitely could have done a better job of explaining the purpose rather than just dropping it in when you guys are expecting a normal vlog from me. But live and learn. Moving on. So here we are, Run It Up Reno. Day one, when I got in on Friday, didn't play any tournaments because I got here in the evening, early evening. Decided to head down to the poker room where the cash games are happening and hopped in a 5-10 no limit game. That didn't go so well. It went very poorly. All these games here, they play a little bit bigger than advertised. 3-5 game has no cap. The 5-10 has no cap. And 5-10 game, they play bomb pots every half hour. Just one small difference between our bomb pots at the meetup games. In these bomb pots, they all wager $100 per person before the cards are dealt. The bomb pots could pretty much make or break your night. I think that's sort of what happened to me. I think I ran bad throughout the entire session, but one interesting hand was a bomb pot where I was dealt King 7 off suit, and we are, I believe, 6 ways to a flop, which comes King, Queen, Deuce, 2 clubs. I think I am in the small blind and check it, and the player, I think in the cutoff, makes a bet of $300. The button calls, and I decide to call with top pair and see what happens here on the turn. Turns a brick off suit 3. This time it checks all the way to the button, who jams all in. $1,500 in the middle, and I have about $1,200 or so, less than a pot size bet. Pretty tough spot. I would expect this player to raise the flop some percentage of the time if he was that strong. We have top pair, which, you know, blocks better top pairs. But I think it's pretty borderline with King 7 off suit. I played a hand earlier against this player where he led small on the flop. I raised with top pair and he jammed all in with a 4 high flush draw. So he's definitely capable of just going with it with a flush draw and taking the high variance route. I don't think the player in between is gonna have too much at this point. I would expect him to just continue betting on such a brick turn. So in the end, I decided to call it off, and the player in the middle folds as expected. Turns out we are up against Deuce 3 of clubs. So that super innocuous looking turn card actually has us in really bad shape. I mean, could be worse shape, but it's not great shape. We decided to run it twice, and we do not improve on either board, either river. So we lose that one for the maximum. There was another hand where there was an early position raised at 35, 2 calls, and I looked out an ace jack off suit in the big blind, small blind or big blind. I decided to put in the squeeze here. I don't think ace jack off is gonna play that great multi-way from out of position. So good squeezing hand with some blockers, and I make it, I think, 185. I think that's too small in these games. Seems like decent amount of action, and if I want to try and get a lot of folds and win this pot pre-flop, I think I should just go bigger. But I made it 185 and everybody calls. So the flop does come down ace high, so that's good news. And I decide to put in a C bet. Everybody folds except for the player on the button. Same opponent as before. Turn is not ideal. It is a 3rd club, so I decide to slow it down a little bit, check it over to the button, who bets $500. Don't think I want to just give it up here on the turn, especially with the club. So we block some flushes, and we could potentially have a redraw to a flush versus some small flushes. So I decide to call, and we're off to a river card, which doesn't change anything. I check it again, and he puts me all in once again. I go well into the tank here, thinking for approximately 2 minutes. He's talking to me, and he says that he'll show if I fold, which almost makes me want to snap call. But in the end, we had been chatting, and it was a fairly friendly game. So in the end, I decided on a fold very reluctantly, but he does show me the 7-4 of clubs. Turns a flush. We can't get there with our redraw, and we lose more money in that hand. In the end, we drop $3,900 or something like that. So pretty terrible start to my Run It Up Reno event. Didn't go at all what I had hoped. Not the session of dreams, you might say. Pretty crappy. I guess just decided to give myself a little challenge here at Run It Up Reno. The following day, Saturday, there was a tournament, and I was looking to play a tournament. There's so many low stakes tournaments happening here at the Run It Up Reno event that it's all very approachable buy-ins, and they're all really fun. You're probably gonna have a pretty fun table, some different personalities on every table, and this tournament tournament was that? The mini main event. That's right. The mini main event. $440. $50,000 guaranteed mini main event. My table had Joe Stapleton on my direct left. I'd never met Joe before, so it was cool playing with him. We had a pretty fun table. Unfortunately, Joe put a nice little bad beat on me. After I opened with pocket 10s, he jams pocket 5s, and he wins that hand. So that's unfortunate. Not too long after that, after I'd gotten short, find ace king under the gun, jam all in, and run into aces. And we lose that hand. So that's it. That was it. I think I lasted through the first break. Probably one of the most fun tables I've had in a tournament that I did not cash in. Just a really cool chat with Joe. Good to meet him. After that, I came up here, edited a video called She's a Poker Vlogger. Maybe you guys have heard of it. Maybe you guys gave it a thumbs down. Not sure. Let's see. Next day, there was another tournament. The $235 no limit hold'em black chip bounty 30K guaranteed. Yeah, I played that one. I got 0 bounties and I busted. I don't think anything interesting happened in that tournament. I think I busted before the first break. So after that, it was time to head back to the cash games. The old comfort zone. Decided to play some 3-5 no limits. Bought in for $1,000. Interesting hand came early on when I opened up pocket 8s for $20 and I believe we get 2 calls. 3 ways to a flop of Jack 9 8. So bottom set for us. Gonna go ahead and bet this one $50, something like that. I find 1 caller and we go heads up to a turn card, which is a pretty good one, offsuit 5. Shouldn't change anything and allow us to keep betting, and that's what I do. We get called once again and we're off to a rather favorable river card. It's another 8, so we find quads on the river. I put in another bet, but since all the draws have missed, could be a little bit tough to get action from anything other than a jack. But turns out we do not get any further action. However, we table the quads and we do get a high hand bonus of $75. And if the quads hold up as the high hand of the hour, that's gonna be another additional $100 coming our way. That is in fact what happened, so bonus $175 for the quads. Shortly after that, we had a familiar face join us on the table on my direct right. Mr. Chris Moneymaker comes and sits down in our 3-5 game, in for $1,000 himself, and not too long, I think his second hand, after sitting down, he opens it up for $20, and we looked at it, pocket aces on the button, raised it up to 65, and Chris calls. So heads up to a flop, which is super dry, it's 8 high. Checks it over to me, think it's a very standard spot for a down bet. All the kids are doing it these days, so that's what I do. I think $50 was the size that I chose, and Chris puts in a check raise, which is really interesting. He's repping nothing other than like sets, I guess. Maybe that 2 pair, 8-6 suited. Anyway, I call, can't do anything other than call here. Turn really connects the board even further. Puts up a flush draw and puts 3 to a straight on board. He bets again to the tune of $275, and it's an interesting decision now, and I think he's got about 400 behind. I think maybe the best option is to just flat call here and keep all of his bluffs in there. I also don't mind a jam too much, because if he does have some sort of pair plus flush draw, pair plus straight draw, something like that, and he doesn't improve on the river, then he might just check and fold to the last $400 river bet. He's got to know that we have something at this point. So I think with a raise, just jamming it all in there, we deny all that equity. If he decides to continue, that's great, and call it off. But if he folds, I think that's great as well. I decided on the jam. I'm not sure I love it, but that's what I do, and he pretty much snap calls. Turns out he's got pocket 8s, and we're drawing to 2 outs. So pocket 8's good for us. Pocket 8's good for Chris Moneymaker. Pocket aces, not so good. We get stacked by the man who started all of it. You know, it's hard to get too upset. It's Chris Moneymaker. Right, so shortly after that pocket aces debacle, we get moved out of the must-move game and onto the main game. And not too long after sitting down, we look down at pocket 10s in the cutoff and make a standard raise to $20. The button calls and everyone else folds. So we're going heads up to a pretty favorable flop. Again, we flop a set, queen, 10, 7. 2 clubs. So I think there is a good number of hands that will continue on this board. Lots of Broadway holdings, lots of flush draws, and I think all small pairs are going to fold no matter what. So if we size up here, we get value from all those hands, top pairs, the last 10, and you know, all those draws as well. The under pairs are going to fold no matter what. So I bet $35 and my opponent makes the call. Guess what the turn is? It's the last 10. The second instance of quads in literally an hour or so. I decided to check it. I'm not sure if that's super ideal. I think I sort of like betting small again, because I think a lot of his drawing hands are going to continue. Like if we bet $25 or something, we also have the potential to induce a raise out of him, I think, if we do that. River is the 3 of clubs, so the front door flush comes in, and I think I want to lead here. I could definitely get behind checking, because if he has a flush, he'll bet that. If he has a missed straight draw, then he will either bluff or we won't be able to get value from that anyway. The downside to checking is that we allow him to check and showdown with a queen. I decided to go for the lead out, size it up to like 130. He's gonna have to call with a flush. He might call with a queen. That's really all that he can call with. To my surprise, he puts in a raise. He puts in the min raise to $260. I think he's got about $250 to $300 behind. So pretty straightforward jam. I go ahead and jam all in, and he snap calls. We show, and he shows us pocket queens. We find the 1 outer on the turn for our second quads of the day within an hour of each other. Flashbacks to a vlog that occurred many moons ago from a casino called The Gardens. Unfortunately, under the gun player decides to turn over pocket 10s. Turned quads. The old 1 outer. The exact reverse happens, and not exactly the same pot size, unfortunately, but we will take it anyway. What's even better in this instance is that instead of the $75 bonus, we get a $300 bonus for making quads twice within 24 hours here at the poker room at the Peppermill. So can't complain. An extra $300 plus the additional $100 if it holds up as the high hand of the hour, which it does. So another $400 on top of the pot in this instance, and a 1 outer. Man, yeah, not sure my line was ideal, but I think flopping a set and turning quads is optimal versus top set. Next interesting hand comes when I look down at pocket jacks. I think we're playing like maybe 7-handed here. I make it 20 to go from early position, and the button puts in a 3-bet to $65. I believe we're over 1K effective here. Not sure I want to get in that much money pre-flop versus this player. I know not personally who this player is, but I'm aware of him. I know he's kind of a grinder type, so he's not going to be getting 2 out of line, I don't think. And I don't think pocket jacks will do too great against his get-in range pre-flop. So I just decided to flat and take it to the streets, which once again brings us a set, another set. It's king, queen, jack, 2 spades. So on this board, I don't think I want to just go ahead and check raise after I check it to him and he bets. We would be getting it in against pocket kings, pocket queens. I think he probably would actually pot control pocket aces here, a decent amount. Not positive, but I think he would, some percentage. I don't think he would even bet ace king. That leaves king queen as another possibility that we can get it in against, and then maybe some combo draws as well. But I just decided flat, and we see what the turn brings, which you guys will not believe me if it wasn't for the photographic evidence that I will show you at the end of this hand. It's another jack. We turned quads for the 3rd time in an hour and a half, maybe, not even. It does put the 3rd spade up on board, so the front door flush is completed. I decided to check it over to him again, and good news is that he bets. He bets $125. I decided flat call here. We're gonna be able to get value on the river from, obviously, pocket kings, pocket queens. We should be able to get value from all flushes, and I don't wanna, shut him down off of those pocket aces, ace king, king queen, whatever other hands that exist in his range. So I flat call, we're off to a river card, which is a brick. I check it to him one more time, and he bets $250. He's got about $500 behind at this point, so once again, pretty straightforward jam. I go ahead and jam all in, and he says, I don't see what you could be bluffing with here, and he shows ace-8 of spades, which, again, you can tell he's a pretty good player. We don't have any bluffs in our range here. We would never, I don't think, just check jam with a naked jack there, or even a straight. Definitely not a straight. I think a jack would be better, but that just wouldn't happen because he could still have all the better hands like pocket kings and pocket queens. So yeah, he makes a good fold there for his last $500. But once again, Quad City, population us, an extra $75, which I think it should be the extra $300, but for some reason it's not. It's just the $75 once again. But again, if it's gonna hold up for the high hand of the hour, that's an additional $100, and sure enough, the quads hold. 3 sets of quads in like an hour and a half. Just madness happening here at the poker room at the Peppermill. Later on, there was another fun tournament to get involved in. There was a partner event, tag team event, if you will. All right guys, today is the partner event, $125 buy-in. The way it works is one person has to play a full orbit, and then after that you can just switch up whenever you want and how often that you want, or how not often that you want. My partner here,
hey,
Casey.
What's up?
Good news is we got this fish on the table, so
I'm on his list.
Things are looking promising.
Let's go.
This is a $125 buy-in, so super casual event. People were in costumes. The best costume won ticket to the Moneymaker special tournament. Can't overstate how unique this event is. So my partner was a girl named Casey. Casey is an employee at the Bellagio, actually, who I've gotten to know. She's been to a few meetup games. Super nice girl from New Zealand. So we hopped in there and we were off and running. I once again ran into Chris Moneymaker at the event while we were both on the rail while our partners were playing. So, remember that time you stacked me by cracking my pocket aces?
Nope, that was a long time ago, man.
You remember. You remember.
I did. I actually pointed it out on her vlog right away.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like first hand in. Sit right on the right of Andrew Neeme, which is not your desirable seat, and of course he plays aces like a fish. So.
Yeah. Is this your first Run It Up Reno?
Second one.
Second one. Okay.
Second one.
My second one as well.
Yeah. So you were here last year?
I was here earlier in the year, whenever that was, February or March.
Okay, that's when I was here.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right. I saw you. That's the first time I ever met you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, obviously it was a blast. This is, you know, I'm doing these Moneymaker events around the country,
right?
And those are incredible. And the only thing that matches that is Run It Up Reno, because everybody's having fun on both these events.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thrilled.
Any expectations for yourself for this event?
Just have a good time. I mean, that's really what it's all about. I mean, obviously you want to win a tournament, but at the end of the day, it's really about just, you know, doing what you're doing, entertaining people, and you know. So,
all right, man. Good luck.
Hey, thanks for the donation, and enjoy the rest of your trip.
You enjoy it, Chris.
Yeah, I will now.
As far as the poker went in this tournament, I managed to win maybe one hand. Casey did better than I did. She won several hands. She doubled us up once or twice. But then we eventually ran out of the run good, and we found Ace Queen versus King Nine of Diamonds. Casey got the money in good. The poker gods were not on our side, and that was it. We were out. So another tournament, another brick. Pretty fun one though. And shortly after that, I hopped into the commentary booth. Wrapped up the mini main event with Lex Veldhouse, Fint in hand. Arlie Shaban later came and joined us, and always fun doing the commentary, which was my first commentary for a tournament. Again, not my strong suit, but fun anyway. This stuff, it's all a learning process, you know. I think it's cool. I like doing the commentary. I don't know if I'm gonna be like Mr. Well of knowledge for the audience, but it's fun anyway. And when you get to hang out with Lex Veldhouse and some of these other streamers and full-time tournament grinders, they'll handle that stuff anyway, so whatever. I'm just there to hang out and have a beer. And I don't know what I'm doing there, to be honest with you. Right, so after the commentary was a wrap, I hadn't really eaten too much like the entire day, so I decided to mosey on down back to the poker room, hop in a 3-5 again, order myself an Eggs Benedict, pretty on point. Was just playing some cards. Game was okay. Saw Mr. Bill Poker. He's got a poker channel, he's got a poker vlog, so you guys should check it out. I'll put a link up here, I think. And yeah, just grinding away, trying to make some hands. Wasn't really working out. Actually got stuck like $400, just no big hands, just kind of whiffing flops and c-bets not working and shutting down, stuff like that, boring stuff. Interesting hand comes up when I look down at pocket nines and raise it up to $20 from early position. The button calls and everyone else folds. So heads up to a flop, which you're not gonna believe it, but it comes King 9. 9. We make quads for the 4th time in one day, and these sessions aren't even that long. I've probably been playing for like maybe 4 hours total between the 2 sessions today. 4 sets of quads using 2 hole cards in 4 hours. It's absolute madness. When I saw this flop come down, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I didn't even know what to do anymore. I think leading out is probably ideal in this spot because we're probably not gonna get any value from an underpair regardless. Once again, there's lots of gut shots that can continue here. 10 jack, queen 10, all the flush draws, and a king that can continue. So I sort of like a bet. I decided to check it. At this point, I'm pretty tired. It's late in the day, and combine that with just disbelief of what's gone down here with these quads. I like a bet, but I decided to check call here. Turns the queen of hearts. This time, after I check it, he checks it back. So we don't have nearly as much money in this pot as I would like. River's the 10 of diamonds. I lead out. I don't really like that either. I sort of like checking it. He's gonna bet his flushes. He might even find a fold with a straight here now that there's 3 diamonds on board, although probably not. We'll probably get some value, but either way, we could maybe check raise that and hope he hero calls. He's just gonna flat call with a straight. Tough to see what we can even get value from here that we wouldn't be able to check raise, that he wouldn't bet himself. So once again, not really loving my my line here with quads, but I think my quads lines might need a little work. Now I have plenty of hands to review. 4 in one day. He folds the river, we show it down, and once again, this time we're getting the $300 bonus plus the additional 100 for the high hand of the hour. So $400 bonus at least to make up for this small pot this time with the quads, the 4th set of quads. Just madness here at Run Up Reno at the Peppermill. What else can you say? I took a photo of each one. I wish I had been recording, but wasn't doing any recording in the cash games today. Just crazy. Yeah, tournaments don't work out. Cash games work out today, even though we get stacked for the maximum with the pocket aces versus Chris Moneymaker. So that wasn't ideal, but we still book a small 4-figure win on the day. So that's that. That was a wrap. Went to bed after that, and today's a new day. Just chilling in the room today for the most part. I think I'm gonna edit this video, the one that you're watching right now, try and get that up by tomorrow morning, which is Tuesday morning, which is today for some of you that are watching it. And yeah, carrying on here. I'll be here until the 30th when I fly back to Vegas. So lots more tournaments to come, cash games, probably no more quads because I probably used up all my quads. Don't expect any more quads on this vlog for a while.